you want to stay safe out bush when you're camping remote or prospecting, especially in this hot weather, and you never know, this could even save your life. G'day guys, Old Fellas Travels. This is probably the last video you'll see in the burbs at home base, because in a day's time I'm off to the goldfields. So let's get on with it. Let's talk about safety, how to stay safe, how to look after yourself out bush, and possibly even learn something that could save your life. So okay team, I mentioned that, so I've mentioned on more than one occasion, she's pretty hot up there in the goldfields. Last week in fact, the coolest over is 41 degrees and the hottest, if I remember correctly, was 47 degrees. Nobody wants to be prospecting in that. I was planning to be up there last week, but I seen the swing of the temperatures. I didn't consider it a safe environment to be in. However, this coming week, we're seeing temperatures of 38 down to 36. I consider that to be safe enough for me to go prospecting, provided I look after myself and I have the required gear to go with. So let's firstly talk about heat. It gets hot up there, too hot to be out in the sun without proper hydration, without enough water, and keeping a mindset that you can't be prospecting in 40 degrees heat. It's just too hot, guys. Not only is it too hot for you, but the ground gets hot, and that makes for poor prospecting with your detector. And let me reiterate, I'm 67 years old. I'm not an infantry soldier full of gusto and bulletproof anymore, and the temperature does knock me around. So the first thing that I'd really say is, if you're, and this applies to anybody that's remote camping, if you're going to be remote camping and it's hot, or you're going to get some hot days, first thing you should consider is my body capable of doing what I want to do? Because in my head, I'm still that young soldier, green around the gills, pretty much bulletproof. Or I thought I was. So as much as I think that might be the case in my head, my body's showing the sign of a few years wear and tear. So what do I consider at 67? Well, one thing I know is stay away from that heat. You know, keep your net covered up, get some sun cream on, some UV on, wear a really good hat, some good protection, but be very mindful of what your tolerance is, you know, when you get hot. Because I know that, and especially if I'm on the gold, I can push myself a little bit. And I've had an occasion where I've just got back to the car and started feeling giddy. Now I made one mistake there that I'm going to talk about. I didn't take enough water with me. So I know my limitations, but I also need to tell myself to take note of those limitations. So as soon as I start feeling pretty hot, I'll go back to the car. If I'm sweating a lot, I'll go back to the car. Make sure I cool down a bit, hydrate, make sure I feel okay, because at any time if I start feeling unwell, it's time to get out of that heat and you've overdone it. By the time you're feeling thirsty and by the time you're feeling unwell, it's too late. And if you're a kilometre from your car and the sun's beating down, you get into the warm part of the day and it's 37 degrees of sun on your head, you may not make it back to the car, guys. Because out in the goldfields, by the time they find you, if you haven't set off some sort of alert, you're going to be a crispy. So that's the first thing you've got to consider. But for this trip, and generally for all other trips, because I know it's going to be warm, I'm taking a little bit of extra precaution. All right, so here we are with a continuation of tailgate talk about safety and survival when remote camping or prospecting in the heat. So there's two areas that we need to be mindful of. One is the actual elements, the heat, possibly even storms and such, but the heat is going to be our greatest barrier to overcome while prospecting in the hot part of the year, in the very early start of the season. So we need plenty of water. I always take bottled water. I carry 160 litres of water in my camper. I carry 60 litres of water in the back of my car, all drinkable water, but I tend to use that for cooking or for showering. The 60 litres in the back of the car is really survival water. So if I happen to get stuck out somewhere and it's hot, but I know I have plenty of water in the car, always have a little bit of food in my fridge and drink. And I also this year, I'm going to be carrying the swag as well. So if I do get caught out, I can have a little bit of a camp and keep myself comfortable and safe. So the other thing I'm taking this year is, and a quantity of this year, so purposely taking some electrolytes. I did have a powder form last year. It was quite expensive, but this year I chose the option that maybe I should be very aware of electrolytes, because even working around here before leaving in the hot days, I found I was really in need of a little bit of that extra boost every day or so, where I've been out doing it pretty hard in the heat and pretty much sweating me butt off. So I've chosen to go with these. Now, I'm not sponsored by these guys. I didn't even know about this, and I paid for it myself. I didn't even know about these till I walked into, I did go to Chemist Warehouse. So I come up with these, Level Up, they think they're called, LVL Up. Everyday Hydration Orange, which is what I'm after, everyday hydration. It comes with 30 cards or 30 packets, which mix up in, I think, 2 or 300 ml of water. These are pretty economical. I think I'll pay $20 for one of these. That's 30. I work on an average, I might take one every 2 days. I'll do probably one hard day, and I'll take it a bit easy the next day to allow the body to recover a little bit, based on, maybe whacking one of these down when I get back. So I bought 2 of these. That's basically if I was to take them every day a month, but I figure that's going to last me 2 months. I haven't even opened them actually. I will open them up because I haven't even opened to have a look and see what they're like. But yeah, there you go. Really usable, nice little capsules, really easy to put into a bottle. So I bought 2 of these because I'm going to carry one in the car. I'm going to have one back in base camp. So hydration is extremely important. So plenty of water, and something to give you a little bit of an electrolyte boost if you've been going pretty hard. But let's talk about a little bit about safety, because it's not only the environment, guys. Australia's a dangerous place. We've got snakes, we've got camels, we've got spiders. Pretty much got all sorts of things that are happy to either kill you or make you pretty sick. I carry a couple of devices, but I wasn't given this either. I paid for this myself about 2 years ago. And as per usual, I need to give it a check before I go away. But a GPS, a personal locator beacon, I suppose, for want of a better word for these, because just something I can set off if things are pretty dire. If I have something's happened that's life-threatening, I'm probably going to hit that first, and hope to hell that I get some response and somebody out there before things get too bad. The other thing I carry, and I carry this on person, whereas the PLB is always in the car, I carry GPS. Now these come in all forms and makes. I'm a real fan of Garmin stuff when it comes to this sort of thing. This one's a little bit more upmarket. It's coloured screen. It gives you quite a number of things, weather forecasts, all sorts of information. You can trailblaze with it. It'll even give you the lay of the land if you need it. There's a lot of options in there, but the most important thing about this is I use this for a location identification. They're a little bit heavy on batteries. I suppose I do carry a spare set of batteries on my harness, but with this I just simply mark where the vehicle is, and I'll do it twice. So I'll mark once where the vehicle is, I'll walk 10 metres away and I'll mark it again. So I've definitely got a point of reference on where the vehicle is. It's really, really easy. Don't listen to what anybody says. Don't listen to anybody that says they've been in the bush all their life and they know their way around and they can read the ground and hallelujah, the skies will open and point me in the direction of home. Sooner or later you'll get caught out. And I have been caught out in my very early days when I didn't have one of these. And it's pretty scary, to be honest. So I use the Garmin GPS 66S. There's much cheaper and much smaller versions. One of my mates has just got the little square fella, and all it simply does is just give you the ability to guide yourself back home. And in this case, home being the vehicle. So always set that twice, turn it off, clip it on my harness, and at any time I'm not sure where I am, because I will wander a bit further away from the vehicle in the cooler months, this will get me back to where I need to be. So regardless of what anybody tells you guys, don't take the risk. There's people that die in the goldfields every year. Very sad and very unfortunate. So you need to give yourself the best opportunity. If you do get caught out, you'll thank yourself. You'll thank yourself for buying a GPS navigator when you think you might be in a bit of strife and you finally see that vehicle in the distance. But also bought one of these Olios. Now there's been a little bit of talk about these, and I suppose they're just a really glamorous one of these. I'm sure many of you that go out in the goldfields want your family to be aware. You know, maybe you've got a wife and children at home, maybe you've got a mum and dad, maybe you've got a girlfriend, but somebody that you want to make aware that, you know, you're safe and pretty much whereabouts you are. I chose this Olio for that reason. Now, once again, I bought this myself, I researched it myself, but one of my mates had one of these and he swore by it. And once I seen what the features were, I decided to get one myself. Now there is a purchase price for these, I can't remember what it is. It's not super expensive, to be honest, for what it is. There is a subscription which isn't overly expensive, and you can, much like Starlink, you can pause it and turn it back on. So I think this has cost me $3 in the last 2.5, 3 months. And I think that was just an overlay from when I had it enabled and then turned it off when I come back to civilization. What I like about these guys, and I'll do a separate review on them because it can be quite detailed, but not only do they have the SOS option, which is really, I suppose, much like this. Emergency signal goes out via satellite, alerting emergency services that you need help, and you need help quick because it's a life-threatening situation. Apart from that, it also has a messaging function. So when you get one of these, you actually get a mobile number. And the mobile number is for the ability to be able to send messages. So you give your mates or the important people the mobile number to this, and they can send an SMS message to you. So that'll allow you to get some assistance without having the emergency services throw a chopper into the air and 2 4-wheel drive ambulances and rush out to save your life. I think you get, on the base subscription, I think you get about 20 messages free, and that's to and from. It's for something important. You know, if mum gets crook, send me a message. If there's something I need to know about, a speeding's fine that's come in, God forbid, you know, it's probably worthwhile sending a message. So I find that of real value. If I need to ask something of my sister or my daughter, I can do it via that as well. And there's an application on your phone that matches with this Olio that gives you the ability to utilise those features. The other one that I really like is the I'm OK button. And to have a predefined message, so you go into the site where you register and manage your Olio device, you set up predefined message, and mine is as simple as, I'm back in camp, I'm okay. The other thing I do set up on this, and depending on how you use it, may cost you a little bit more in subscription, is automatic notifications. So I send a notification from this every 2 hours to my sister and my daughter to let them know where I am. Now this covers off when I'm prospecting. So when I'm out on the ground doing a bit of prospecting, they'll get a notification every 2 hours on whereabouts on the ground I am. So that covers me when I'm away from camp. So due to those features, and I'm sure there's probably more that I haven't mentioned, and I won't go into any more detail because this video is going to be long enough. But that's a pretty valuable piece of kit. For what it cost, and for the cost of having the subscription of that, which isn't a lot, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's really very, very affordable, depending on what plan you choose. But I've got the basic plan, and I find that basic plan just serves me every bit as well as I need. Like I said, we've got a lot of dangerous animals in Australia. And the old Joe Blake, he's part of it. He's a big part of it. You know, we got browns, king browns, maybe cobras, or I can't remember. mulga snakes. We've got a lot of snakes out there, and amongst some of the most poisonous in the world. So it's always my greatest concern is snake bites. I try to be pretty wary, and I try to keep an eye out, but I'll talk about that in a minute. In fact, no, I'll talk about it right now, is when you're wearing a fly net, which is usually the case in this weather because the flies are willing to carry away if you give them enough opportunity to grab hold, it does affect your vision a little bit. And I nearly trod on a little snake, and I attribute it to the fact I had the fly net on because I didn't see it until I seen some movement out of the corner of my eye. And when I looked down to where I seen that bit of movement, a little Joe Blake, maybe a foot long, that I disturbed walking along, and he was just heading off on his merry way. But that does go to say that you need to be careful, and even something as simple as a fly net may just take that little bit of vision away. So snake bite kits, I'm going to do a separate review on this, but I carry two. There's a snake bite kit that I carry on my harness. So there's my little bum pack there that I carry a couple of things in. These snake bite kits are pretty available. You see it pretty much everywhere. BCF, ARB, and I'm sure any camping shop you walk into, they're bound to carry these. They're the only real comprehensive ones that I've seen. And they come with a number of items. I'll do a separate review on these, but the best thing about this is it gives you everything you need to treat a snake bite. The one thing I like about this particular snake bite kit is the bandage comes with markers on it, basically rectangles, to apply a pressure bandage. It'll actually allow you to know, it'll actually show you when you've got the right tension, in as much a rectangle will become a square, and that tells you that you've got the right tension applied or the right pressure applied for the pressure bandage. I never leave without the snake bite kit. That comes everywhere with me when I'm prospecting. It's a permanent fixture to my harness. So that, along with my Zolio and my GPS, that's covering a few bases. What about back in camp? Back in camp I carry a pretty comprehensive first aid kit. Another snake bite kit in here. Fairly comprehensive, basically trauma style first aid kit. I have had to use this first aid kit. Wasn't so long ago that I was away and I cut my foot on the bottom. A pretty ordinary cut. I probably could have had it stitched if I had gone to the doctor, but I chose not to because I was camping. But I had the gear in there to address that and give myself a day for it to start healing up a little bit, and I could continue on with the holiday. And to be honest, that's all I needed. In about 3 days, she was pretty much coming right. Although I'm a very fast healer, even at my age. So that's quite comprehensive. There's a bit of extra stuff in there, but this is a drifter bag, and I bought this bag with a clear top in orange for that very reason. I have this sitting just behind the passenger seat in the car, and it always stays there. And the first thing I do when we set up camp, and if I'm camping with anybody, I tell them there's an orange bag, actually with first aid written on it, that sits behind the passenger seat, and for whatever reason, if you need it, it's got a snake bite kit in it as well as a first aid kit. Go and help yourself. So a fairly comprehensive first aid kit, I'd say, for what is a first aid kit, for what is just a general first aid kit. And I've had to use it a few times, once on myself. And the key is to remember to replenish anything that you use out of there, so you've always got a full stock of things. So I think that might be about it, team. You know, it's important to keep yourself safe out bush, and I suppose this year more than ever, in view of I was a little bit unwell last year, is and the fact I did have an accident in my vehicle after losing the wheel, and the vehicle's off the road a bit, but that could have happened anywhere. That could have happened, you know, while I was in the 110 Ks out of Leonora, for instance. So there would have been a need for some communications. I do have Starlink. So if it's just a situation like that, there's nothing to stop me running up Starlink and ringing a family member and organising to get some assistance. But you don't want to be setting Starlink up if you've been tagged by a Joe Blake, you know, and you're not feeling so good, and you start to get a throbbing in the noggin. you want to act pretty quickly and you want somebody out there to help you as soon as you can. People go missing in the goldfields every year, guys, and people have lost their lives in the goldfield, not to misadventure, but purely and simply because maybe they weren't well prepared enough, maybe they choose to do the wrong thing. I don't know. It's very unfortunate, it's very sad, and I'm not accusing anybody of doing the wrong thing and, you know, causing their own demise, but you can't tell yourself it's not going to happen. In fact, statistically, you've probably got more chance of being injured out in the bush, whether it be by a camel running you down, being bitten by a wild dog, or being tagged by a snake, or bitten by a racehorse goanna, of all things. You never know when that's going to happen, and you've probably got more chance of that happening than what you have of getting hit by a car in the city, I reckon. So be aware, guys, it happens more often than what you think. You might think there's not many people bitten by snakes. There is. There's literally hundreds of people bitten by snakes every year. Okay, there we go. That's the old fella's tips for staying safe, hydrated, both body and soul, and in the elements, and the Jurassic Park out there that we call the remote goldfields. Take it easy, team. I hope you got something out of this. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Hit that little bell to get all notifications, especially if you're interested in prospecting videos, because this is the last video back in the burbs. Oh, thank goodness. I'm going to have to leave Barnes behind this first trip because it's too hot. That's going to break my heart. But in a day's time, I'm on my way to the goldfields, and I'll record that from the time I leave to the time I'm on the ground looking for that first bit of gold. Thanks for watching, team. I appreciate your time, and this is going to be a cracker of a year, so stay tuned. There's going to be a lot happening. See you later, team. Take it easy, look after yourselves, and take at least one thing on board out of what I spoke today. So that's the old fella signing out. Woo! Yeah, mate. Do you want to stay... Do you want to stay set? Do you want to stay safe?